Hi, everybody. This is Drew Tom with the Association for Middle Level Education, and we are joined today on this Google Hangout by two wonderful authors and educational thinkers. We've got Melissa Baneck, and she is a graduate student in elementary education at Mississippi State University, and Baneck Anthony, and he is an associate professor also at Mississippi State University. And so hooray for that, and hooray also for this wonderful content in this article that you're checking out at AMLE magazine entitled "They Need a Hero." And I'm going to say, first off, I am a huge fan of Greek mythology. So this whole article sang to me. So I was raised on Edith Hamilton's mythology book very early on. And so this was the bee's knees for me. So, and obviously this article is all about how young adolescents need heroes in their lives. So that's really the first question that I want to ask you all, and that is, who inspired you as a young adolescent? Who were your heroes, or if there was one in particular?
Well, I would personally have to say that a lot of the times I looked to my parents as heroes. Again, they weren't always perfect, but they were great, and they were there for me, you know, through the ups and downs. And I also grew up with reading mythology and even like young adult books, you know, tracked for that, and I always liked that. They were very inspiring. Grew up with the Harry Potter era, came out when I was young, so those were always great role models.
Mine were explorers, like Ernest Shackleton. Although he never achieved his goal of getting to the South Pole, he tried multiple times. At one time, him and his crew were stranded. He was able to use his intellect, his leadership, and seamanship to save the entire crew. Other people like maybe Theodore Roosevelt, who was a political leader, but was actually an intellectual, a scientist, was forward thinking on race issues. He saw that adventure, but he also served others.
Excellent, excellent. And that really, that goes to our next two questions. You know, because the study that you've given us is a lot about and perseverance and resilience and all that kind of stuff. Why is it so important for young adolescents in particular to learn and develop perseverance, and why start at this age through this hero study?
Well, I think that's a pretty difficult age for everyone. You're at the edge of childhood and adulthood, you know, faced with a lot of decisions, not really sure which way to go. And so sometimes you might take the wrong direction, and picking yourself up from there and moving on, you know, accepting that you maybe made a wrong decision or something happened that wasn't planned, and just being able to pick up and go forward and do what you need to do, I think is very important for that age.
Exactly. Well put. Anything to add to that?
I think the myths and hero stories, they can provide, you know, models of others who've gone through similar types of problems. Often adolescents, you feel like that you're the only one facing this problem, but then you learn that other people have had problems with their parents, other people have had problems with not fitting in with society or trying to go their own way. Other people have failed, and by seeing those examples, it helps develop that perseverance. They feel like they're not alone. Again, that other people have been there. I think additionally, they learn that heroes often fail, and many times it takes multiple attempts to achieve goals, and sometimes those goals are never met. Like Shackleton never meets his goal, but he's still a hero. And I think they learn that failure is as much a normal part of life as success is.
Right, right. And to go right along with that, you've already touched upon it, and Melissa in particular, when you mentioned your parents and hey, they weren't perfect, but they were still your heroes. Why is it also important for young adolescents to learn that have both positive and negative attributes and qualities, something that you mentioned in the article?
Well, I mean, no one is perfect. And so if you have this idea in your head that a hero has to be perfect and always do the right thing, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and you're not really going to be able to pick up and move on, like I was mentioning earlier. So if you see that people make mistakes along the way while they're actually trying to accomplish great things, then you, as a young adult, you can, and as an adolescent, you can realize that others have done that, and it's possible to, you know, pick up from the negative and move on.
I think there are a lot of people who are concerned that, you know, if you teach heroes, especially at a young age, when children get older, they realize that heroes have flaws and they'll be disappointed. But that's the exact reason why we should teach about heroes, so they'll see that disillusionment. That's normal. It's a normal part of life. You know, Achilles is a hero to the Greeks. Yet he's slighted. He goes and he sulks, and the direct result of his sulking is his best friend dies, and the Greeks almost lose the war. Hector is probably the best hero, the greatest hero in the Iliad, but during one particular battle and engagement, he actually runs from the enemy. But he still is a hero, not because he ran from the enemy, but because he went back to fight and he fought bravely. I think that's the thing to see, is that we all are going to fail at any given time, and we're all going to have maybe even character flaws. That doesn't make us less of a hero. It makes us human, and students get to see that all of us are capable of heroic behavior, I think, at any given time.
Right, and I'm not going to put you. I don't want to put you on the spot and get ready. So you know, we talk about heroes, and obviously yours is focused on the Greek myths and Greek heroes. Examples of real life heroes. Do you think that the Greeks did a better job of portraying heroism, or like the Marvel superheroes are saying, do they do an adequate job as well of portraying real heroes who have flaws as well?
I think that the concept of hero, as we see it in Marvel, or as we see it in some of these others, really come from some of the older concepts of heroes. When you look at the Marvel heroes, whether it's Iron Man, they have flaws. They're people that make mistakes. They're people with egos, and their egos get in the way sometimes. There are people who are prideful, and that pride gets in the way. There are people that sometimes are scared. You know, on a personal note, Pete Rose was one of my heroes growing up as a young boy. I loved Pete Rose. I watched him play. I loved the grit that he used. I loved the fact that he hustled, that he slid and dove going into first base. And I won't say I was devastated, but I was very disappointed when it came out that he gambled on baseball and then he was banned. So what do you do with Pete Rose? Well, then I had to come to the conclusion that, well, Pete Rose, the fact that he gambled, he has a serious character flaw, did not diminish the number of hits. It didn't diminish the way that he played baseball. And so as a baseball player, I can still look at him. I can still tell my son, hey, look at Pete Rose. Just don't gamble like it.
There you go. There you go. You know, he played on the baseball diamond, and all diamonds have different facets that we can focus on, and others that we can choose to. So to move on to another stakeholder that we should keep in mind, of course, with any kind of unit, but how can teachers involve parents and families with this kind of unit? How would that benefit the learning?
Well, I think a good way is if you want to bring in the parents to make them do the activities that the kids are doing, you could do the quest cycles and the other types of charts we have that accompany the article, and have them thinking about, you know, what are the attributes of a hero and identifying those in the mythological stories, and then even making their own quest cycle at the end. What do they as an adult, as a parent, want to accomplish, and how can they do those things? And I don't know, I think working through that with their child is a really reassuring thing for both involved.
Absolutely. Can anything to add to that? Yeah.
I think also, you know, maybe comparing what their concepts of heroes are. You know, are there differences between a student and their parent on who a hero is? I'm sure if I had talked to my dad about it, his concept of hero might have been markedly different than mine. I'm sure if Melissa and I had this conversation, we made some jokes about who our heroes were before he came on here. We probably have different concepts of heroes, and I think, you know, that's generational, maybe also based upon our life, and definitely based upon our life experiences. I think also parents can talk about times that they've been disappointed, like times when they failed, and I think that's empowering again for us to see that it's okay to strive, because you're not always going to get there, and that's a part of life. I think that's the strength of this type of study, is that it empowers people to try and realize that when you don't always achieve success, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you need to keep trying and persevere.
Exactly right. So the final question that I have for you is a heroic metaphorical kind of exploration. And I don't know if you all have developed separate answers for this, or if you combine heroic powers together to develop one answer. Either way, there's no right or wrong. So here you go. Was a food for middle level education. What kind of food would it be and why?
Okay, so the first thing I thought of was a hamburger. So I'm thinking you have essential parts of a hamburger. You can't have a hamburger without the meat and without the bun. And you can't have heroism without having perseverance and some sort of moral compass. And so then with a hamburger, you have different toppings, different things everyone adds to their liking. Well, there's different ways you can be a hero, different ways that you can make it your own. And then also, what was my other part? If you have a bad burger or you pick a bad topping or something, if you like burgers, you're most likely not going to be turned away forever. So just like if you make a mistake while you're, trying to go through and be a hero, if you make a mistake, that doesn't mean you can't be or that you have to stop. It just means you have to try something else.
Very true.
I think addition to that is the idea that, like Melissa said, if I eat a really bad hamburger, it doesn't mean I hate all hamburgers. It doesn't mean all hamburgers are no longer valid. Same thing. If Pete Rose has failed me and maybe failed society as a hero, those are indicted or failed with him. It just means that he did. And I think also the analogy allows for a culture component that that when you look at also cultures in time, they do have certain things that they have in common in those stories, but they also are manifested differently in different cultures and different times. And so our concept of hero can change over time. But I think those essential ingredients of perseverance, of being brave, those things are there. It just depends on what they're brave about. It may not be physical bravery for some people. It might be intellectual bravery,
right?
Moral bravery.
That's true. That's an excellent point. There's a lot of time we equate heroism with a physical attribute, but yeah, that intellectual heroism or spiritual heroism, whatever it is, and to return to the hamburger analogy, some people don't like the pickle, in the hamburger. Maybe that's the character flaw, right? Maybe that's the thing that we choose to, I'm either gonna bite this pickle as a part of the hamburger and just understand it for what it is, or maybe I just need to take this pickle off and focus on what I really like about the hero. I don't know, maybe I'm stretching the analogy, but I think the hamburger's the way to go. So gosh, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation and for the article. Just really great stuff, and I'm sure everyone out there is checking out the article. You're just really enjoying it. As the heroes in education that are here with AMLE Magazine, I'm sure you're enjoying this article. So thank you so much, Kenny and Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
All right. So once again, thank you everybody for checking out this Google Hangout and reading the article. They Need a Hero here at AMLE Magazine, here where we help you reach every student, grow professionally. And again,